what's up? This is Dr. O, and this is Allie, our patient. Also one of our amazing team members, and we got Rachel right here. So we're kind of excited for this. We're going to transform a smile in a single visit. It's something we've been wanting to do for a while as far as trying to help people see what cosmetic dentistry can do with the latest technology. So that's kind of the idea behind it. There's also people that are interested in not what goes on kind of behind the scenes. When I kind of peruse through all the videos I've seen about cosmetic veneers, I don't really get to see what goes on in detail. And so this is going to be that. It's all the detail. It's start to finish. We're starting what? It's 2:30, not to be confused with tooth hurdy.
Tooth hurdy.
Sorry about that.
That's a good one.
That's bad. I meant to do that the other day because it's so funny. It's like dental jokes. We have a few of them, but we got to use them when we get the opportunity. So we didn't do that on purpose. But we're starting at 2:30. We've got a 3 to 4 hour window, possibly to finish this in. That's kind of the goal. As far as how we're going to be working on Allie, saying that, the 3 to 4 hour window, obviously this isn't for everybody. Like, I get it. You're not going to be, I mean, I'm just not that entertaining. I don't have that many jokes. 3 to 4 hours is a long time. So this is really for those who want to like see all the details or want to fast forward through or come back maybe later and see some things throughout the process of how we create the veneers. We're going to design them. So from the start to finish, we're going to obviously get you comfortable, get you numb, prep the teeth, take maybe 20, 30 minutes, image with this amazing system behind us here called the CEREC machine, design in that software, and then we're going to send them to our milling machines throughout our office, and actually you'll get to see us mill them, customize them, try them in, and then before, hopefully like 6 o'clock or before, we're bonding them in place permanently. So that's what's so cool about it. One thing you'll notice is we've cut out the lab. It means that the person who's doing all the cosmetic work is yours truly. So hopefully I brought my A game today, Allie, because this is your smile.
Yeah, I think I'll have to deal with it for
all right. I'll have to see it all the time, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that being said, we're going to compile into a cool video at the end where you can see kind of like the highlights of things. And so if you're like, hey, peace out, I don't want to watch all that detail, fine, that's cool. I don't expect too many people to be watching the whole thing, but we're going to compile it into a highlight reel. That'll be kind of the high points of the video. In the description below on this video, we're going to make certain that we give you some of the time frames where to kind of click to see certain parts of it in more detail if you'd like. So without further ado, any questions you have, Allie? Anything I left out, girls?
I don't think so. Right now, I'll let you know though.
We've got awesome Michael behind the camera. He's rocking it for us. This is kind of a cool setup. We're running YouTube Live and Facebook Live at the same time, so pretty neat. So there's no pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
Don't mess up.
Okay, all right. Cool. Well, so first thing, obviously, we've already taken some amazing photos. Michael, if you want to put that photo up of her before. So Allie had some rotated teeth, some smaller laterals you'll see in the photo. And got it? Michael, did you find it? So those teeth were rotated and a little bit crowded. I think your front two were kind of straight.
Yeah, we thought
angled like that.
We thought they were pegs at first.
Yeah, and so then you've got some high translucency, so some really strong characterization. I know you're not crazy about that we're going to get rid of today. And then the laterals being very small that we're going to address. So first thing we obviously want to do is get our patient comfortable. There's a number of ways to do this. From a patient perspective, I don't know how many people have had anesthetic given right underneath the nose, but it should be outlawed, right? Has anybody ever had it? It's awful. By the way, while I'm thinking of that, if you have a question, we will be feeding these today. I've got some other questions we've written up, but if you're watching this and you have a question or thought that you'd like to share, then we can see that and go ahead and put it in there, and we'll see if we can answer it for you. Since we have lots of time to kill, I'm gonna get tired of talking, and that's hard to do. I come in.
Is that possible?
It is. Yeah, I've got a family that likes to talk. I have to talk a lot. I'm gonna run out of time. So, or run out of things to say. So here we have is some topical. We don't want to obviously go right in without giving some nice numbing on the gums. The goal here is obviously to give our patients the most comfortable anesthetic imaginable. That's kind of hard to do when you're talking about a shot, but I think we can do that pretty well. One thing is right underneath the nose is chock full of nerves, so we don't want to go right there first. We want to give another maybe 30 seconds for that topical to set in. And then we'll go over to the right side where we don't have a whole lot of nerve bundles, and same thing over here, and we'll give what's called an infraorbital. The infraorbital anesthetic injection will allow us to, you know, I'm going to get some people going, man, he didn't put his glasses on. So for all you dental professionals, there's my glasses. And there's my mask.
Close one.
And my gloves. I'm missing the sleeves. I'm missing that lab coat
You
vibe.
are. We should have kept
But
it.
I signed that OSHA thing, so I'm good to go.
You're
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
All right. Michael, can you see it all? I don't know. So the anesthetic we give is going to be over here. We give, one of the key things to giving anesthetic comfortably is give it slow. Don't get in a rush here. So this is going to be close to like the excitement of watching paint dry. But as far as a patient perspective, it's a lot more comfortable this way. And so we're going to do 10 veneers. I didn't really specify that up front. This would be a good time for like Dexter to come out and say hello. I don't know where he's at.
He's normally out here stalking us.
So you can see a good, what is it? You just graduated hygiene. Is like what, a minute and a half is what they say, minute and a half per carpule. And I can promise you that's not the norm. So giving anesthetic slow is key to giving it comfortably. When you give it really quickly, it expands the tissue and causes quite a bit of pain. That wasn't too bad, was it? Yeah. I paid her to say that, but
I actually didn't even feel that.
that's great.
He tripped right up. Not mine.
There's Dexter.
Oh,
Dexter, come join us, buddy.
Oh, he's
No.
swallowing Dexter.
He's like, there's a camera.
He's camera shy, kind of like me.
Uh-huh.
So I actually do let a little bit of anesthetic drop off the syringe onto the tissue to help even get a little more topical anesthetic there before. And there's a little bit pinch. So we'll answer all the questions about like what's the material made out of, what the veneers made out of, kind of the details of how long they should last, what they're going to look like. Obviously, by the end of this video, you will get to see her smile completed with bonded veneers. So we'll get to all kind of see the payoff there. So if you wanted to like tune in around 5 o'clock, 5:30. That should be a time where we're finishing up if you're not interested in the details. If you've got like nothing better to do, then just hang on with us and shoot me some funny questions. I don't know. Give me something to talk about.
Yeah, maybe grab a snack, sit down.
Yeah, popcorn.
Yep.
I'm sure I've got a few people lined up that, no, maybe not, are watching like, grab some popcorn, hoping that I'm like going to make a mistake or something like that. That's terrible. There's probably a few people out there, huh?
Oh, I can't close.
Like he's going to mess up.
Feeling it already?
Whew.
Yeah, that numbs the whole nose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like all across the front. Wasn't painful though, right?
No.
Yeah. And so now we can go back in those same areas and give more anesthetic. That way we can kind of give some stuff that's going to last a while. So that first one there doesn't have what's called epinephrine in it, and so therefore it doesn't have to have what's a buffer. The buffer causes burn, and so first anesthetic that we give any patient is going to usually be carbocaine without epi. That way we're not giving that buffer in there that gives some of that burn to a patient's tissue. So that's the goal. And then now we're going back with epinephrine. The benefit of epinephrine is that it helps us keep the patient comfortable. So Allie's going to be comfortable for the whole procedure here. So she will thaw out after we've already bonded those veneers. The only downside of same day, I would say, it kind of bothers me because I like to see the fruits of the labor. So I like to see the smile at the end. And it's unfortunate, Allie, she won't be able to smile at the end of the day. She'll still be pretty numb. But we will take photos and be able to show people what it looked like finally. We've already talked about shade. I mean, obviously we have our preferences, but patients, we like to have them be a big part of that. One huge advantage, and I know we've already had this from a patient we had from, I think she was from Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. She was really nervous about getting treatment done because she knew that the impression was going to be taken, sent to a lab, and then there wasn't going to be a whole lot of control she had in what her smile looked like. I obviously told her there's some great dentists out there that can work with the lab pretty well, but that one of the big huge advantages we have here is I can work with her looking at our software to make certain that we deliver all those little requests she wanted. So she wanted like her canines to be a little pointier, like Kirsten Dunst. Anybody seen hers?
Yep.
Yep. So she wanted her canines to be a little pointier, and she wanted everything to be just a little bit wider. And so wider, W-I-D-E-R. Sounds like I'm saying whiter. So, do you feel that at all? Just faintly. Okay. I know some people are going to really want to see the replay of this. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey Grant, first
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
How long do veneers last?
Yeah. So when talking about how long a porcelain veneer would last, there's obviously many variables. The best way to do is, I think, to explain that is to create an analogy that we all get, and that is vehicles, right? So we've all bought probably some vehicles in our life, and then we're responsible for maintaining those vehicles. So porcelain veneers are kind of similar in the way that the quality of the veneer, like the quality of the porcelain, the quality of the prep, the dentist that did it, all the impression process of everything we do today being done at an excellent level is a big part of that. Which camera am I looking at? Oh, they're all. All right, so all that's important. So making sure that you deliver all those details and getting the treatment correct and making sure that the bonding is great, and all that's part of like buying the right car, right? Once you've got the right car and a car that has a great reputation for holding up, and then you got to obviously maintain it. So changing the oil. So changing the oil for obviously a patient with veneers would be brushing and flossing. Make sure that you see your dentist regularly to make sure if there is any issues that arise, that you get them addressed soon. But to kind of give you an expectation, I mean, I've seen them last 20, 30 years on older technology. So, stuff that's not even as strong and as nice and as well-fitting as what we have today. So, I mean, I think that's a good expectation, is if you can really maintain the quality of them. Now, obviously, if you don't take care of them, I've seen things fail within 5 years or 10 years on patients that maybe have trouble with dry mouth or brushing and flossing well, or have a high sugar diet. I mean, those are things that it's hard to overcome. So hopefully that helps make sense. It's kind of a loaded question because there's so many variables that come into play when you're talking about longevity there. So, all right, we are probably fully numb. I bet you feel pretty crazy numb there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And so 2:44, I'm going to stop yapping and get to work, and I'll probably talk a little bit while I work here. What we're going to be doing is basically removing enough enamel that gives us enough space to add back the shade of porcelain and the shape of porcelain to give shade and shape aesthetics to Allie here. And so we use some pretty detailed reduction guides to help make certain that we do that. And for her, since she's got straight teeth, her straight teeth, even though they're not, by the way, I don't even think I mentioned it, but we used Invisalign to correct the smile. So that before photo was prior to Invisalign. Let's see if I can talk and work at the same time, right? I am a man, so that's kind of a challenge. So all you ladies say amen. We know men like that. So we'll actually start on the left side and just work our way around to the right. And watch this amazing, boring tooth preparation, huh? Doing okay? Good. Raise your hand if you need a break. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just making sure I remove about a millimeter, which is If you took 2 credit cards out of your wallet and held them together, then that is about what you would get from a millimeter. I guess it depends on your credit card. And you didn't say nothing. I was actually supposed to image first. I'll get it.
Oh, okay.
So in this situation, I kind of forgot here. I got ahead of myself. I got busy talking, but we want to make certain that we actually have reference points because we are prepping teeth that we're going to build back, and I don't have a design other than what I'm going to design in the software. So what we want to do is image where we're at currently in this software. So Michael, you might be able to go ahead and head on over to the setup machine. Is that working for you? Computer, yeah, my computer went to sleep. Oh. You need my, this got infinitely more complicated. Let me be right back here. Is there something I need to do on settings? You want me to do it? Yeah, let me do that real quick. You wanna do it? I locked him out of my computer over there, so that's what I had to go reset. So we got to copy this before where she's at right now in order to give a reference for when we create the veneers in the end. That will all make sense as you kind of see this process unfold. Alright, cut those dried off. So we'll add a copy folder here. I don't know if Michael's got it there, so I'll just do it there. So you might be able to see there, okay. So we'll go ahead and add a biocopy upper. And then I'll go ahead and image your smile in that. Oh, cool, I'm getting a phone call. I'm going to hit end on that. Sorry, Mom, I'll have to talk to you later. Actually, I think my mom's getting back from a cruise. She went on her first cruise to Hawaii.
That would be nice. Hope she didn't run any into any of the quick volcano stuff going on.
No kidding. So we're capturing all the detail of the way her teeth are positioned because we know they work well with her bite already. So we don't want to drastically change that. There we go. Cool. And then we can kind of clean up this in the software. We're rocking now, Michael, looks like. By the way, you won't be able to see the mouse movements, which we tried to figure a way around it. It was not very easy, so unfortunately you won't be able to see the mouse moving, but you'll be able to see the changes that we make. So there you can see I clean up the model. That way our model now is pretty clean, showing what she had before. And now we can get back to work here. Give me another question, Michael. Wait till we got one.
I was going to say, have you talked to the audience about the different shade options you could do?
Oh, yeah.
LP, MP, HP?
Yeah. So veneers can be a lot of different types of porcelain. and it can also be a lot of different shades of porcelain. And then even within that, there can be a lot of different types of translucencies. So it can get pretty involved when they're talking about. Michael, can you hear me okay when I'm prepping, or is it? Yeah. So you can have a lot of different variables coming out and deciding what shade to choose and go with. And it, obviously, the patient's going to determine what they want for a final look. And then I'll play a big role on trying to, with my experience on what they look like once they're bonded and the shade of the tooth underneath. And you know, if you've had root canals, that's going to play a role. If you've had dark teeth, that kind of comes into play. So all of that is part of determining the proper material. But then there's material, if you've followed this channel at all, you've heard me talk about a material called Emax. I'm in love with Emax. It's just a really pretty, strong, bonds well. I can get x-rays through it. There's just so many benefits to it. I know on the channel I've gotten, especially on YouTube, a number of people asking me about zirconia. And I was going to make a video, and I still probably will, but I'll go on record saying I detest zirconia. It's ugly, and I don't believe it should be used for cosmetic makeovers. It just doesn't have the natural light properties. I've seen even the best ones stained, and I'm still not impressed. And they don't bond well to the teeth, so they can't. You have to have more grinding to make them connect, because they have to be really crowned. So you'll see with these preps that I don't really touch the backside of Allie's teeth, which is a huge advantage because now her biting surface doesn't change. You feel uncomfortable, huh? Good? Thumbs up? Double thumbs up, alright. Another thing is like with veneers, like on this tooth right here that I'm working on, I'll be able to remove old fillings too. So veneers can remove old fillings and replace those. So for people that have a lot of stained or discolored teeth, that is super helpful, as long as the fillings aren't too big. I'll wrap around the back side of the tooth. So to answer that question about shade a little bit more detailed, there's Allie and I, before we started the video today, we talked about shade, what her goals were, and we wanted to go pretty light. But we want them to look natural, because who wants to have teeth that look really fake? I guess I've had a few people that are like, hey, I want them to look really fake, and it look like Hollywood. And we do what the patient wants, so if that's what you want, then we'll do that. But my preference is to not go do a shade or material that ends up looking obviously fake. I want it to look really beautifully white but natural. So how we can do that with Emax material, the porcelain we use here, is we use a high translucent or a medium translucent. We decided high translucent here, and we're doing a high translucent bleach 1, which is actually the lightest shade material you can use, and we're going to couple that with the color of her teeth underneath because it's translucent, and it'll be really pretty that way. So one thing is in her before photos, we'll notice that her gums around her laterals are up a little high, and so as I prep these teeth, I'll actually do a little bit of reduction there, kind of like a gingivectomy a little bit. Still doing well? Good?
Sometimes we'll get our famous innovative facial.
Yeah, that's right. Put your chin up there a little bit. Turn to your right there, please. Thank you. So we're a little over halfway now prepping all 10 teeth, so it doesn't take too long.
little cavity we're removing here on the back side of one of these pretty molars. I know, right?
What makes someone a good candidate for veneers?
So, anytime you're going to be doing something cosmetic, we want to make sure we first address the health of the smile, right? I mean, we need a balanced bite, we need missing teeth kind of considered, and so we want to be doing the cosmetic stuff when we've really got a healthy mouth first. And then after we've got that, we want part of a healthy mouth really to me is teeth that are fairly straight. You can do a little bit of what I call instant ortho on with veneers, but which is just basically using a veneer to make the tooth look straighter. But you don't want to do that too aggressively, otherwise you'll risk just taking too much tooth structure away and getting close to the nose. So straight teeth, healthy bite, those are some pretty important things. Now I will say that you can obviously use veneers to replace and repair front teeth that have considerable amounts of decay. And so when you're doing that, then that might be more of a priority. And we've had some patients where that's been the case, where we needed to not just use veneers for the look, but really to get more permanent stability on their front teeth. So hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying there. Is it okay? Good. We have 3 viewers, and are they all Innovative Dental team members? So this process of doing it in a single visit is fairly unique. There's a handful of dentists in our area and maybe quite a few throughout the country. I'm not certain on the number, but most people that even have this technology maybe don't want to or feel comfortable or aspire to do it in the same day. And I like it. I think it's really fun to see the before and after for the patient, and I think it's really exciting for the patient to not have to have temporaries for 2 to 3 weeks and hope that they get something back from the lab that looks really great, rather than, if we don't like something here today, we can correct for it. We can make a new one, so we can always address that.
And you don't have to get none twice.
Yeah, another nice one. He's not getting two times being none. My voice just cracked, which makes me think about that. How old do you guys think I am? That would be a good question to put in the comments. I won't answer it until
Just had a birthday on Sunday.
yeah. I just cracked like I'm in puberty or something. But patients look at me like, "Are you still in high school? And should I be doing this?" But I'll give you a little hint. Go ahead and turn to your left there. I've got this last week, June 13th. Was my 7th year doing dentistry. So some people might be able to do math there and figure that out. And you guys already know. Yeah. That's fine. I don't know how many comments I've gotten on my posture yet. My posture there?
Yeah, I'm like, this looks just pretty good.
I just straightened it up a little bit. It was a little rough there.
teachers are going to be yelling at me.
Amy asks, what are the reasons for needing veneers?
What's up? What are the reasons? Well, so veneers can be used for, so there's obviously the cosmetic aspect, which is changing shape and shade of the smile. And so addressing color concerns, whether it's stain or old fillings that are just kind of looking dingy. Some veneers are obviously more permanent and they don't stain, so that's kind of a huge advantage to dental veneers is once they are, the shade is chosen, they stay that shade. The teeth and fillings all get dingy over time in same shade. So those are, the cosmetic is what most of us think of. You know, one of the videos that we have, a couple of them that really have gotten a lot of attention, I guess, is the ones about, you know, using veneers for functional fixtures in the front, whether it's decay or fracture, chipping of teeth. You know, I really believe I've just seen it. Too many crowns being used on front teeth to fix problems that something much more conservative like a dental veneer would address. And so, you know, you can check our channel. We've got a lot of, I think there's 3 or 4 videos that address that question on what can a veneer be used for other stuff other than just cosmetic. I really don't do too many crowns on front teeth. There's only a handful of reasons they're needed. So. So we're kind of hitting the home stretch here, just finishing the main prep, and I'll go back and I kind of polish things up. Sorry for the bath there, you know. Got to keep the teeth cool, right? So like in this situation on tooth number 4, we can use kind of a veneer, kind of partial crown to address this old filling, the metal filling, get it out of there, and then make that tooth look nice and pretty and get the gray out of it. I know you'll be proud of that. Okay. What are we at time-wise? So we started about 15, 20 minutes ago. Something like that. So we're getting close to being done with the prepping of the teeth. Most people have moved on to like a crazy cat video or something like that.
I just need to bring Dexter out here.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Might be a good time to talk about, we have that Summer Smile giveaway going on right now. Had quite a few entries, so what that is basically is we have a lot of requests throughout the year. You know, is there a way you can help us with your smile? I love the idea of having a beautiful smile. I know it's not something I can afford. You guys have any way to help with that? Is there a program for discounted work? And we thought there's got to be a way we can help the observing person at least periodically throughout the year. And so we decided that we'd come up with a program called the Summer Smile Giveaway. And so you can go and enter your a video and some photos. All the details are at summersmilegiveaway.com. And you can submit an entry, and we'll put it together for a vote, and that way we can pay for the travel and do all the smile transformation for 100% free $99 as they call it. And it'll be really fun to help an observing person have a wonderful smile. Anybody tired of looking at the top of my head yet? Thumbs this video up. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going through and I'm just kind of finishing up with a little bit of a polish and making sure that everything's super smooth so that way our veneers fit really well. So, all the technology in the world can't make up for sloppy dentistry, so I've got to do things really nicely and clean. Okay, so hon? You doing alright? Yeah, you feeling that already? Good, good. Right. Good there? Good. I think the teeth that are super small, I kept the prep really conservative, and I think we should probably use MCs too.
MCs?
Yeah. If we want to get that shade to be pretty light. Sounds good, Alex? Okay. little more on that one spot. Got a little cold that was up here on this upper left. Okay. We'll get a close-up here. I don't know if Michael's at an angle to do that yet, but we'll be able to get a close-up of the front teeth. I'll get a little X-Bacillus. She's really not bleeding hardly any, just a little at the gum line. And that's just where I changed kind of the contour of your gums a little bit. That way we have your gums be symmetrical. That's a huge, that's a really big part of getting a cosmetic smile. It's not just about straight teeth and nice veneers that are the right shade. If you have gums that are not symmetrical, it really stands out. So that's really part of making sure that you deliver a beautiful result. One thing you'll notice too with all the veneer preps, we break contact, and what that basically means is that in between the patient's teeth is going to be porcelain against porcelain. Okay? Little there. And so the benefit of porcelain and porcelain is that we don't have to worry about cavities forming there in between the teeth, because cavities don't form on porcelain. Now you can obviously get cavities below the porcelain, so that's why flossing is really important, but it does help significantly with how long veneers will last. So. I'm going to rinse off there from the eraser. Better. Okay. Alright, let's get the contact broken here on the thin line. I just realized I said contact broken. People are like, breaking teeth? And broken just means open. So, that's a dental term. I try not to use them. Some of them still stick around.
Where do you order black mask from?
What's that? Where do I order black mask from? I like to be part ninja. It's like one of my childhood dreams, right? You want to be a pilot, a ninja. I wanted to be a dentist at one point and when I was young, but I didn't really come to that decision until I was third year in undergrad. But as far as where I get the black mask from, I don't know. I'll have to try to answer that in the comments section. Almost done. impression. Okay. So now that we've got all the teeth prepped, I'm just going to verify everything's super smooth. We'll put down a little bit of material that'll help with the gums bleeding just a little bit at the gums. And that'll stop really quickly. One final polish. We have some YouTube viewers, Michael? How many we got? I don't expect more than like 4, so I had 1 at this point. I was just curious where maybe the furthest one watching is. So maybe if you're like, I'm from a ways away, maybe go ahead and just say where you're from. I know we get people that comment from all over the globe, so that'd be kind of cool to see.
It's 28 years.
28? All right. It's just about to get really exciting, people. This is the least exciting part, probably. Just kind of finishing up our prep with the polish. Super smooth. And you asked me how smooth. It's kind of crude, but I don't think we've got any like below 15 degrees, but smooth as butter on a baby's butt. And it's been a while since I've changed the diaper, because my child, thank God, about 3 months ago got potty trained, but you can imagine, butter on a baby's butt, that's really smooth. All right. Sweet. All right. Go ahead and put some of this. This material here is for those that maybe are dentists watching. That it's just Expasil, and it does a great job of stopping the hemorrhage and then the bleeding for those who maybe don't want to use lay terms here, but it'll stop the bleeding and kind of push the tissue away for a really nice impression. And you don't feel this at all, do you?
No.
Yeah. They say it's strawberry flavored, but I got a bone to pick with that, Kerr on that one. I don't think they got that one right. Yeah. And I'll be the first to admit nothing in dentistry tastes good. It's just, our materials just don't. But we don't have to get too much on your tongue, so that's good. So I just put that material on there and kind of make sure it gets pushed into the tissue, so that way we don't have any bleeding. And so we'll give you just a break here, and then we can let you see a kind of a close-up of what those teeth look like after they've been prepped. You can see you'll really be able to see it in the software when I take the images here in about 5 minutes or a few minutes. We'll go like 3 minutes. Hey Siri. Oh, nice. My Siri's not going to work now. Hey Siri. No go. Now it is. Hey Siri. Set timer for 3 minutes. So we use a 3-minute timer here. That's good luck for you.
Yeah, it's free.
All right. By the way, show them your shirt. Oh yes.
Keep
Yes,
smiling.
we're definitely gonna go for sale on those right there.
No, for those that actually make the trip to Springfield to get their smile changed, that shirt is yours. So, you know, you make the trip, invest all that money, and we'll get you a free shirt and a smile. All right. But that's this cheesy line that I use at the end of the videos. So, in this software, you can see here the copy we had before. I'll go ahead and prepare us to be able to take this impression of her upper arch after we've prepped it. And how we'll do that is now we'll have two folders here that are two files that have her before condition, and I'll be able to go in and just remove or cut away the area that we've changed. So everything that I'm highlighting here, drawing a circle around, is area that we have changed for the patient. And that will allow us to actually have both of those models connect together in the software. You'll get to see that. And that'll help us when we design. So her midline was great. Your incisal edges were pretty darn nice. So we're not gonna change a lot of things, but we're also gonna change a lot of things. So we would be changing the edges of your teeth and your bite, which are very important. Lip support, cant, which was nice. We got that good with Invisalign. So all of those things that you really want to have for a beautiful smile, we've got at least the groundwork there set really nicely, and now we'll just complete it with shape and shade of the veneer. Let's see, what other questions do we have that maybe I can answer in the few minutes I've got here, a minute I've got? Is there another one?
Someone else was asking about the material.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Okay. Well, it's Emax, which is a lithium disilicate, and it's an incredibly strong, extra strength porcelain. I'm sure dentists are aware of it, but as far as patients, from your perspective, your enamel, it's similar or actually a little bit stronger than your enamel, and obviously can't decay. Brings up a little question I get all the time. I think the patient asked one the other day, and then somebody on YouTube channel maybe last week was, hey, they're able to generate new tooth structure and you know, be able to create teeth, and they're working on this, and probably going to get, if this goes to the right people, I'm going to get hate mail, but it's just reality. I don't see the point. And the reason I don't see the point is we're taking a material that we already know gets decay, stains, and is imperfect in the way that it holds up in the mouth, and that's the enamel and dentin underneath, so it gets decay. And the porcelain we use doesn't decay, so that's why I don't really see the benefit to spending all that time and effort to create it. What's up? Did you knock it off? Oh, I knocked it off. So I think it's more of a novelty idea, and I even heard of it as far as like even replacing a missing tooth. And once again, teeth have periodontal disease, they can break a lot easier. Implants are an excellent solution, probably cost significantly less than I think having your own tooth generated. And so natural biologic teeth being used for replacing materials in dentistry, I don't get it. So we got stuff that holds up stronger and lasts longer and doesn't have all the susceptibility to problems that the natural tooth does. Not to mention fitting. I was like, how do you get a perfectly fitting molar? Do you grow it, and like when you start growing it, you're like, hey, I want that to be 9.4 millimeters wide. You know, just to perfectly fit and snap floss. I mean, come on, really.
I mean, I don't
We
see
get all that
working
here.
in my lifetime, but
Yeah. All right, so here we go. We're gonna go ahead and get our impression, and you'll get to see that with the CEREC machine. I probably want to go over to that image there, Michael. People are tired of seeing the top of my head by now. Fortunately, I don't think I have to, not too much more of that.
no, take that. I'll get you.
Tastes good?
Okay. Doing all right? Comfortable? Good. So we're gonna really kind of make sure the teeth are dry so we get a good impression. And now it's time. Michael, you ready for that? First. Good. Thumbs up. Okay. So we are going to, you can kind of see how those two models have already stitched. See that kind of like shadow over there? You'll see that it'll disappear in a second. There we go. Now we're imaging the prep. So this is probably the best image that you'll see as far as detail on what the preparations of these teeth look like. You'll notice as I go across this, the back side is all intact. We left the tongue side of the teeth strong and in enamel. You'll notice the contacts. You'll see maybe I left a little bit of Exposil on the other side there, but that's not a big deal. You see the bite there won't change. And then from the front side, you can now see what the preps look like and how smooth we want them to be. You can still see that we've left quite a bit of enamel on the edges of those teeth, so they'll bond strong. There's where we adjusted the gums a little bit. And that Geiger counter sound just lets me know if I'm not, able to tell that we're imaging correctly and not missing the proper part of the image. It looks like maybe I wanted to get a little bit better contact on that tooth, so that way we snap some floss. So that should be good. I like to stop where I started. And now we'll just give it a second and make sure that those preps stitch with our before condition. And then I'll be able to verify if there's any areas that maybe need a little more reduction, because I can then see that. So possibly will, but I'll check that out. So these little spinny, there we go, green check box is what we're going for. And so we're going to go ahead and look close up here. You can kind of see the ghost image of those teeth. It looks pretty good. I can kind of see how thin those veneers are going to be. It's number 9 that I'm trying to see there. And really good there. Awesome. Okay. So we're probably going to do just a hair more on this spot on 9. We can kind of see from this angle. Be a little more reduced there. I think that's all I'm going to need. So to make that little bit of a change, it's pretty simple. I just cut away that portion of the model that I'm going to change again, which is that right there. And then I go and do a simple little polish away of that spot that's too, you're going to make the veneer too thin. So there's obviously multiple benefits of this technology, but right there is a good example of that, right? I don't have to wait to send this off to a lab and for the lab to somehow try to make the correction for me and make the veneer too opaque, or you can see some of the underlying teeth structure. I could see quickly that I needed to make an in-mouth adjustment to make certain that our veneers look really, really good. It doesn't happen very often, but a good example of a benefit to what we can do is last week, I believe I had a patient where we had to remake the veneer, I think twice. Not because first one and second one weren't good, they just weren't great. And so we had a few issues with shade and wasn't thrilled with the way it blended with her smile. And so we were able to really dial that in and not settle for the work being not perfect. And that's just the way we obviously all would want to be treated. And when you have this technology to be able to redo something that quickly, it takes away that tendency to be like, oh man, is the patient going to be frustrated that I have to reappoint them and take an impression again and send it off to the lab? And you just kind of get rid of that.
challenge and tendency. Or now we go ahead, and I just took a lower just so we can get a bite that is usable for us to see. I may have to, yeah, that turned out pretty good. Clean that up a little bit. Those who can see this on the computer screen, we can actually cut away some of that lip that kind of got captured there in my glove. And then go ahead and just bite together there for me. Awesome. Go ahead and dry off a little bit. Whoop. On the wrong color, that will help. There you go. There we go. So if you ever get this, it's for those that use Eric, there's probably a few of you watching. That red X just means it's not stitching. I just go back and I clean up the model. Go back and kind of stitch around here until we get rid of this tissue that's
You good?
not the same and not matching. There you go. And now we get that green check we're looking for. I'll give you enough anesthetic here to keep you comfortable for the next few hours.
Yay.
And I know we could show you, I mean, we have this really cool theater room, but nice, I'm knocking stuff off of it. That theater room, I'm sure you probably you're going to want to watch us make your veneers, but you know, you're welcome to go watch a Netflix movie if you're, or a show you want. And she doesn't feel any of these because she's still numb, so that's kind of a nice thing. Really, the only one you feel just barely is that first initial injection. After that, we're able to kind of keep you there without you ever feeling anything again. Thumbs up, am I right? Okay. Any other new questions there, Michael?
I think a few people missed that you talked about, especially getting Invisalign first.
Yes, yeah. So because of those, those teeth that were rotated, we I kind of got lost my train of thought there for a second. But yeah, we definitely. How long was your treatment, Ellen? 3 months. Mm-hmm. 3 months. We used accelerated Invisalign to move her teeth back into the proper position, so that way we can obviously be able to do what we're doing today. So now the computer's going to do its thing. It's going to make the models. This is not too exciting, but you'll see it'll kind of put those together. And so we'll be able to design her smile here in just a minute. That'll take me roughly 30 minutes. I'll talk through that. Once again, if you're looking into this treatment, maybe it's interesting to you, see how we actually do that. If you're not, you're going to be like, okay, whatever. Maybe a dentist or a dental assistant might think it's, or a hygienist, somebody in the dental field might think it's interesting. But we're going to design from scratch, which is a little bit different. Usually you use a design workup or a wax up. The way that we can utilize this technology and the number of times I've used it, I feel pretty confident on the way that we can do it in software and give a amazing result. Probably better than some of the wax ups we do. So we have a guy that does great wax ups, but it's just the control in the software is pretty amazing. We can change like the way that the enamel looks and kind of how natural it looks in the software. We can make the veneer thinner or thicker, change the edges all very easily, and we can do that all at one time. And we use a grid. You'll get to see that here in a minute. And that grid is really helpful to get symmetry, so we can really dial in, is it looking identical from right and left sides? So pretty cool to have that much control right there in software. Once we've designed it, then we can obviously send each one of those individual units. By the way, that's another common question I get is, our veneers or your smile, you'll see a lot of, and this, I'll just say it, there's a lot of companies out there that are calling things veneers that aren't veneers. And so if you've heard of, oh gosh, I'm forgetting some of their names right now, but Bill Veneers comes to mind, Perfect Fit Veneers. There's some other companies that are coming up with these names of really plastic teeth that snap over your teeth. They're not veneers. They're kind of using that name. They're not, at least in the traditional way. And so there's a lot of confusion there. So these are all individually customized. You are able to floss and clean and treat them just like teeth. So that's a giant difference from what you're talking about. A snap-on smile is another one that's fine, but snap-on smiles are not veneers. They actually nailed it. They didn't call it a veneer. Other companies have tried to make the same thing as snap-on smiles and actually call it a veneer. And I think that's misleading, and I think it's not very fair to do that. But these are going to be true veneers, porcelain veneers bonded on individually that you can floss, brush, and obviously maintain more health. Another really kind of a public service announcement about those the snap-on smiles, which are done by a dentist, which is awesome. So at least you have the value of a dentist verifying the health of the teeth prior. But the other ones that you order online, I've seen a lot of them on our, as ads on YouTube and throughout Facebook. If you're not having a dentist first verify you're healthy, be really concerned about that, because you could just be making a problem even worse. And so make sure that you go to a professional, verify you're healthy, and then maybe do something like a snap-on smile if that's more what you can afford at this time. I wouldn't do the stuff online that you order and do yourself. I've seen some pretty large, even their before and afters have a lot of decay, and they're just snapping plastic teeth over decayed teeth. It concerns me about the health that they're giving people and the risks they're putting them under for watching infections get worse for them. So, all right, now our model's together. We've got a bite. And Dexter's here to help save the day. What's up, buddy? Can you say hi? I don't know. Yeah, you can see. He's hanging out here. Now he's making Allie feel better. There you go.
Some comfort.
All right. So, Michael, if you want to go over to the software here now, we can maybe get into that. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure that we set up her arch correctly, her before photo, and you can see on this left side that is the before arch. I'm able to get that kind of dialed in on a number of key points, which are going to be, this is the cant, so if you can see me wobbling the arch, so we want to make sure we get that right. And obviously I verified that before we started working, that she has a good cant, and there's ways I can address that if she didn't, but this is straight across compared to her eyes, so that's what we're talking about there. And then midline there, making sure that we obviously keep the midline beautifully right down the middle of her smile, and then making sure our molars are evenly placed and premolars are evenly placed, and then now we've got an axis that's been set. So now that we have an axis that's set, we can move forward to the design phase. Is there a better way from the angle? No, good? Okay. And then our design phase, we're able to go ahead and start marginating. Marginating is where we can go in and say, hey, this is tooth number 13. Here are the dimensions of it. So we just go right into here. You'll be able to see this is tooth number 13. I can click, and can you see the line being drawn there, Michael? I know we couldn't see the mouse. Okay. So this line that I'm drawing is, and you can see where the enamel ends and the tissue begins, and so that line is where I'm stitching it or tacking it down and telling the software to build our veneer to this line. And that's how we get such a nice custom fit. Then I want to tell this operator, hey, this is this insertion axis, so that's the way it's going to fit. I'm going to place it in that direction. Then we just do this so on and so forth. I just made up a word. All the way over to the first tooth. I just happened to start with 13 and go down, but this doesn't take us too long, maybe about 5 or 10 minutes to go ahead and create our margins here. Any other questions while I'm doing this? This is pretty mindless stuff, so I can talk pretty easily. Even for me, I can talk and do this at the same time. I think that, is that my good side? I don't even know, Michael. You just put a camera there. I hope it is. Hey, where did you guys go?
We're right here.
Tired of being on camera? All right. No, it's all good. There's nothing to do over here.
That was just a
I need another question. Yeah, feed me another question. Do we have any? I know I had some written down, but I'll have to look at those here in a little bit.
Are veneers more sensitive than natural teeth?
So veneers shouldn't be any more sensitive than natural teeth. Matter of fact, they should. If you had sensitivity at the gum line, especially on teeth, there's a great chance that a veneer would cover that up and take away the sensitivity. In rare situations, usually if there's something that was not done correctly, you might have sensitivity. But correctly done veneers, I do not get patients coming back saying, man, I've got this terrible sensitivity now that I've had dental veneers. So good question. I mean, who would want to get their smile changed and then have to deal with every day not being able to eat ice cream? There's no food restrictions. That's like another really common question. Do I need to stay away from any certain foods? And no, you don't. You shouldn't do things with your teeth that you shouldn't do anyways. So like opening bags and things like that, cutting fishing line, all the stories we get from people actually chipping and wearing down their natural teeth. Veneers, obviously, they're strong, but that's not super healthy for them as well. So I'd avoid that.
I feel like I should go get my nose pierced.
Yeah,
right now.
it's a good time. Your nose is definitely super numb.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, right. Go for it. Yeah, is that allowed? Does the employee handbook say anything about nose piercing? So we are halfway through that margination business. Okay.
Man, you hit me up with marketing.
I did. It'd be numb for a few hours. All right. So we are over to tooth number 8, and we'll count down to 4. One thing too to kind of note, the amount of detail you're looking at when you're watching me do this on this screen. Imagine how many of this size tooth would fit inside the screen of this size tooth, right? So what I'm getting at is that we're looking at this like maybe at 800x, so much larger than the natural tooth, and so the amount of detail we're getting is phenomenal. So getting fit is really pretty easy here. Little changes are even that much smaller in the mouth.
Why should you get more than 2 or 4 veneers?
It's a good question, Brittany. I think she wrote that one down. So yeah. So when you're talking about numbers of how many teeth to include when you're doing a smile, obviously you need to consult with your dentist, and your goals really matter. I think it's really important that when you are interested in something like your smile, that whoever you go to, the second you start talking about what you want, they don't just come up with their own ideas and just say, hey, this is what you should do. They need to ask you some questions and listen. Because your goal might not be to go with a brighter smile. You might just hate the way that a few teeth are chipped and rotated, and you know, there might be a totally different goal you have than what the dentist might have, and you don't want to obviously choose a dentist that is kind of going that direction. So first things we do is have a discussion with people. Hey, what are your goals? And if your goals are to change shade, and that typically is a goal of most patients that want veneers, they want to improve the overall shade of their smile, then you have to at least be thinking maybe 6, probably 8 to 10 veneers. The reason is that when you smile, you're going to see your premolars, and especially in outdoor lighting and big smiles with flash, that's where we notice it probably the most, your second premolar is pretty darn visible. So it just kind of depends. I mean, if a patient goes, you know, I just want my smile improved, I'm kind of, you know, a little tight on the budget, so maybe I can do 6 for now and maybe add some later. We've done that before, and that's not a bad solution. With payment options, usually we can avoid doing 6 and get towards that 8 to 10, which will really drastically change the overall smile when you smile big and outdoors with flash, all those Instagram and Facebook social media posts that people like to do. That would be the value of going towards that 8 to 10 stage. As far as 2 or 4 peg laterals, so people that maybe have teeth that are on either side of their centrals that are small, we call those peg laterals. They doing a couple veneers there and just keeping the same shade, maybe bleaching before you did it, is a great solution. So that might be a reason you might do 2. 4, that's more going to be addressing maybe like a condition to the teeth. Maybe they've got some chipping or something like that, the front 4 do. An accident, I think I did 4 just the other, like for that lady, awesome lady, Eva. Matter of fact, I'll do her smile video hopefully in the next week. Got a really good video showing how we did an implant for her, and we did 3 veneers and 1 implant, so her front 4 teeth. We didn't change shade, we matched them, and you'll see I was able to customize and make those front 4 teeth look just like her canines. So we didn't make them a different color at all. So that was a good example of using something that was trauma, an accident, that we fixed with 4. So there's my answer on how many. Hopefully that's clear. Anything else I should add there, ladies?
Why did she have so many injections?
So she needed a few more there on the, and keep in mind we're doing 10 teeth, so we're not just doing a few. And she needed a few more, and I'm not using all articaine, so I'm using some carbocaine. And so she didn't feel any of those follow-up injections. So if you're a patient concerned about it, she didn't feel those. If you're a dentist concerned about it, the volume of injections is still way below a healthy individual can take, so we're not worried about that. So, fair question.
I'm fine.
She, you know, we'd rather have the patient comfortable. So when it comes to amount of anesthetic, I mean, 8, 10 carps, when you're doing this many teeth, pretty standard. I don't want to feel anything if I was getting dentistry done. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Give as many as it needs as long as we got a healthy individual and don't have, aren't crossing that 8 to 10 barrier probably. All right, so now in the software you can see we're going to get some proposals. So we've already kind of figured out, told the software where the tooth ends and the veneer needs to begin. And so now it's going ahead and give us some ideas of what it thinks would look good. Obviously it's not going to be what we're going to go with, but it's a good starting point. And I'll show you how we can work from there. So you don't want to go with what it gives you. Be like, hey, no, not so good. So this is the part where you kind of go like, no pressure, right? We don't have anything beautiful. We worked on your teeth, and we gotta rebuild them. So in this software, you'll be able to see here. I can use that grid tool that we did earlier. Remember, I lined everything up and got everything, all the axes correct. Then I can use that to help us out here. So yeah, that's not what we want. And you can see what those teeth look like. They're just not regular, not beautiful, not what we're going for. So we'll go to this little bio jaw option.
And I do have another question for you, Dr.
Yeah.
Wilson. for a veneer consultation. Do you have any advice on things to consider, and ask her what factors make a veneer look natural? I don't want a fake or noticeable smile.
Yeah, so the video, the 5 tips on finding a great cosmetic dentist, make sure you watch that. It's on our channel. That one answers a ton of questions I feel are pretty important for you to kind of have in your mind as you go there to that dentist. And if you have those in mind, you should be able to ask the right questions, I feel like, to get a good result. It also really depends on, once again, are you trying to change your shade of your teeth, or is it purely the shape? And then is your bite, are your teeth straight or are they crooked? You know, definitely don't want to be trying to veneer crooked teeth. It's too aggressive, and then they will have a lot of issues with probably not staying on if your bite's pretty poor. Good question. I need obviously quite a bit more detail, really, I think, to give you specific answers maybe to that. So you can see here, I'm just in the software, I'm moving those teeth to a much more aesthetic position, basically changing our starting point to something I really would rather start with. This is obviously not going to be our final position, but it gets us more in the ballpark.
Look at those laterals.
Isn't that pretty cool? Full size. And then, oh, the blue that you're seeing is a minimal thickness indicator. So it tells me how thick these are going to be, and I can make certain then with that I'm not making them too thin. You may have heard me say that we're going to switch to, instead of high translucent, we'll use a medium translucent. We're still going to get the same end shade, but the veneers are going to be a little thinner than if we had thicker teeth. Allie's teeth happen to be fairly thin, and so being able to make that adjustment is nice as well. So the final shade will be really the same. Hey, you've never had full laterals like that, have you?
It looks so nice.
We had another question, Dr.
Yeah.
Olson, concerning spacing.
Yeah.
Are veneers something that could potentially help with spacing? The 2 front teeth, for the person asking this question, are of normal size, but the remaining front teeth are smaller size, thus creating gaps.
Okay.
With veneers close spaces.
Yeah, so the 2 front teeth are normal size and the ones next to it are not?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's all about spacing, right? So the spaces being the proper width. If they are the proper width, then yes, veneers are great for that. If the spaces are not of proper width, then you got to do something to correct that with, and I'd prefer Invisalign. We use that all the time with great success, to first get the roots of the teeth in the right position, and then when we veneer them, we're able to really deliver the right size proportion. Cosmetic is really all about nailing a proportion. It's not about getting a perfect size. Obviously, everybody's got different sized teeth, so it's about the ratio. And that's what I love about this grid, is I can really dial in the ratio. And if you're watching that detail, you can see we're getting closer and closer to something that looks like a beautiful start, and then I can go in and I can fine tune these things. So that's what we want. Looking pretty good there. So after we've got that, I think I'm pretty good, pretty happy to start with that. Don't want that to adapt, and give me some teeth. So right now we're at about a total, what, hour and 15, 20 minutes in?
Yeah. I think we started at 2:44.
24. So software, come on.
I don't know if you talked about it. Did you talk about any discomfort after a one-day makeover?
So the injection sites are where you might be a little sore. That's kind of more common than the teeth really won't be sore. So maybe a little bit up underneath your gums there. But typically within a day or two, the soreness is pretty well gone. Gums are amazingly fast at healing, so any sort of discomfort there is usually short-lived.
How long do veneers last?
Veneers should last. Oh, we already answered that one earlier. But I mean, that's the loaded question I answered earlier. Maybe you remember that. Okay. Year wise, I mean, I think quality veneers that are held up by patients taking good care of them, you know, getting 20, 30 years, I think would be doable. Here's that biocopy comes into play, right? Now I layered over, if you see here, there's what we had before, and here's what we have now, and so I can kind of, not that. And here's what we have now, and so I can kind of see, are we at the right length? And so I need to lengthen that just a little bit.
What's the name of the system you're using?
So this is CEREC is the name of it. And CEREC is made by a company called Sirona. Sirona has really been the leader as far as when it comes to developing CAD/CAM systems for designing and making same-day crowns is where they obviously started, but now obviously we can do all sorts of dentistry with them. We do implants, we do cosmetic veneers, and it's a pretty diverse system that is very powerful. You take it away, it would. I don't think I'd want to make barbecue. I like barbecue a lot. Next week, actually, we'll be doing some barbecue for a local church that I actually belong to. That we're going to be doing some school remodels. So that'd be kind of cool. I'll probably vlog a little bit of that. I love barbecue, so why not talk about that? So now that we're getting really close, I'm going to go in and just do some fine tuning, especially these front two teeth. Those are the ones that I know that, I mean, the smile really hinges on these two being almost identical. Everything else kind of starts from there. So we can see that our other teeth, this is before, we can see how long they were, we can see that these teeth are the same length. And so now I don't really need that previous image much more. It was useful, obviously, to help make certain that we got to this point, and then now I can use the software to kind of dial things in. The anatomy that I'll place in these veneers, since they are maybe a little bit round at this point, I can do with a handpiece prior to putting them in the oven. So I'll show you guys that, and that's how we can really kind of add that extra dimension of natural aesthetics to these veneers. We really want them to appear very natural, and that's how we can do it. So our upper teeth, let's see how wide they were. So the natural tooth ended, so here's a good example, right? So her one before, we're about halfway through the block. I wish you could see the mouse there, but you can't. But so I know that this veneer here, the front tooth, is maybe just a smidge, I think that's a technical term, just a smidge too wide, so something like that. So we can kind of match this guy here.
Another question for you, Dr. Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Have we ever had an issue with a veneer breaking?
So this material is incredibly uncommon to break, and that's an awesome question. Do veneers break? And that's any tooth can break. It has to do with the type of material. And Emax, very, very rarely. I mean, I can't, I don't know, I'm struggling to think of one, and I bet you guys, you know, been here for a while. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there you go. One person I can think of actually happens to work here. She actually broke one, and we just couldn't believe it. Man, we've done, yeah, we've done thousands of veneers, and she just ground the heck out of it. Got a deep, really strong bite. But even people with strong bites, that doesn't usually happen. We also had another team member fall on concrete, and hers held up great. So you know, they're pretty durable. They can take a lot more. Definitely very little natural things have any sort of risk of chipping or breaking a veneer.
Would you still recommend a night guard?
I think night guards are always great if somebody has a grinding condition or a deep bite that they really need to probably address with orthodontics, or a bite that's just really almost end to end. If they're doing veneers, then it might be an issue to maybe correct that bite first. But yeah, night guards are not a bad solution for those who have tendency to grind.
Someone said that they've heard about veneers falling off, but not breaking.
So veneers will pop off if you have abnormal forces or poor bonding. So that can definitely happen. Once again, incredibly rare when you look at a percentage basis. So as far as how often that happens, usually the force that would cause a veneer to break off or pop off would typically have caused some damage to the natural tooth structure. So if you ask me which one would I rather have, rebond a veneer or try to repair a tooth that's chipped, it would be easy to rebond a veneer rather than deal with a tooth that chipped or broke from forces. Good questions. So we're getting really close here to something we're going to be happy with.
No pressure.
Right? And then obviously I'll have you give me some of your insight and let me know if there's anything you would like to change or differently.
How long until our gums are back to normal?
So those gums will be back to normal within 24 hours. Yeah. We see people for post-op photos a day or two later, and you could never tell that we did any dental work. Gums are just super fast at healing. Matter of fact, you probably already, you're not bleeding anymore at all. You're bleeding just a little bit there for a minute, but that was it. So what you can see now is I'm changing kind of, can you see the yellow and stuff here, Michael?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see I'm using a tool to help redesign the contours of this lateral to help better mimic this lateral. And so that's what you're seeing me do. And then getting the length. I typically like laterals to be just a little bit shorter than the centrals. I think it looks more youthful. They don't have to be, so that's kind of more of a preference. Allie, what do you like, huh? Yours were quite a bit shorter. These, I mean, matter of fact, if you look even before, they were way short, right? So here, if we go to what you have now, those are quite a bit longer. So I think those look pretty good, that length. And I like laterals to be kind of pointing towards the edges, kind of should be looking like they're going towards the belly button.
That's kind of the most aesthetic result for us. And now that we've got this grid tool and these all positioned, we can see we've got really, really nice symmetry. Maybe a few minor things that are getting small enough now that what we would do is bond these in and then make those changes while they're in the patient's mouth, so we can even get more kind of specific and really nail it once we've got it in the right environment in their smile. So just a little tall here. These premolars were just a little too full, I feel like, at the gum line here. So kind of trimming those in a little bit. And then we can see we were just a little thin in this spot, so we'll get that built up. You already had this gap in between your teeth, but we can close that. So we'll do that right here. Alright, we are about there, y'all. So what I do at this point is, since we can go ahead and get these premolars, which are pretty much almost at the right spot to mill, we can kind of remove this and get into the detail on the contacts. So every machine is going to be just a little different based off of the milling that it does in the office and how well it mills. But here we know that if we've milled enough on our machines to know that if we get a nice solid green, that her contacts are going to be awesome. Can someone give me a glass of water? All this talking is kind of killing me. We know that if we get a solid green, our contacts will be really nice. We can also see here that the contours are really matching up pretty darn well with each other. We can also make little changes to that if we want. Little tweaks. Thank you. All right. I'm sure she's changing those over. You changed those over to MT?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. So you can see this kind of green that we're going for. That tells me we're going to get a great fit. I obviously don't want the tooth to be coming over into that space, so I'll kind of smooth this up, add a little bit more to its neighbor. And then here's our contact with our canine, so wanting to make sure our canine has a nice contact. Is that me? Sounds like it. Am I plugged in?
There you
There.
go. That would happen live. I don't think I've ever seen that. But I already saved it, so even if it would have shut down, I would have had it. But yeah, nice. That's why you don't do things live, right? Why would you do things live? What kind of crazy business is that? All right, so we're ready to mill a couple of these already. And then we go over here to this mill phase and tell the computer that we are ready to mill this guy. And you've got them all loaded, correct?
Yes, except for that one in the lobby.
Yes,
We're going to show them how we load it.
Okay, yep. Why don't I get these other few going, and then I'll come do that one.
Are we gonna go backwards? 13 or?
I'll do, yeah, 13. I'll do premolars, and then we'll start with 6 through 11. So we'll get 13 and 12 going right now. I'll show them how we load the machine at 4 or 5, and then kind of see how we mill out that veneer. So that was number 12. Let's see what 13 looks like. Pretty good there. Ready to mill. So these take about 8 to 10 minutes to mill, so not too long. And they mill out of we'll show you here in a minute. You can kind of see this block of porcelain here that I'm moving around. That is the block that we'll be milling these out of, and each individual block is what we use for each individual porcelain veneer. You got any other questions, Michael? Guess we can go up there and just do the veneer here in a second.
How long does it take to train on the Sear system?
So this, so it just depends on what you want to do, right? So if you're looking at doing, this software has come a very long way. So being able to do simple crowns and like back teeth, pretty quick, I'd say. I mean, just kind of, it also depends on too, like how comfortable are you with computers? I mean, if you're not very comfortable with computers and software and how that works, that could be a huge hang up for people. But I'd say for those that are comfortable with computers, maybe a few months, a month or two to get comfortable with how to do it. You obviously don't have to start with doing things in single visit. You can kind of do it the way you've been doing it with multiple visits and build your way up to doing it with a single visit. But veneer work or smile design stuff, it gets a little bit more, there's just a few more variables that you want to get experience on, and that takes time. I mean, I don't really know how to gauge how long it would take most people in that, but it also depends on immersion in the technology, right? I mean, there's some really great resources out there. So if that's, I'm guessing that's a dentist that asked that. It might not be, but there's some really good resources to learn. And if you dive into that, I know my wife will tell you, I spent countless hours on an iPad watching video after video and traveling to learn more about it, because I just thought it was the coolest thing and one of the best ways we could help our patients and have control over what we get. I mean, for example, right here, if I look at this contact, right? okay, that's doable. It's a closed contact, but it's not ideal. So I can go in here and I can actually go, hey, I'd like this tooth needs to have a contact that comes over just a little further, and this one needs to go back this way just a little bit more. And so I can really fine tune the way that the fit is, and so I like that control.
We have another online question for you.
Mm-hmm.
A gentleman was wanting to know if you would be willing to work on a patient who lives out of state, whether it be Arkansas, Kansas, or any other state around the country.
Absolutely. So that's we would love. We have a great options to help take care of kind of the logistics of how to get to Springfield and get that work done. And we do that routinely. We treat cosmetically routinely in a single visit, and we've had a number of people, many people, travel and get that done. Namely, just recently from New York, Kentucky, Denver, Colorado, and then we've had from even out of the country, Puerto Rico. And Texas. Those are just to name a few places that people have made trips from. And we, like I said, will help make that really easy for you. So all you got to do is give us a call, and we will take care of the rest of the details and work with you to make that simple. How'd I do to answer that one okay? All right. There's the plug, right? Yes, please. We'd love to help you. You know, smile. This is by far the most enjoyable treatment that I do, and I love seeing people smile, and I love having a hand in creating that for them, and very committed to doing it excellently and not just getting it done. You know, it's nice to get it done in a single visit, and while, yes, we don't want to take all the way into the evening tonight, but it takes as long as it takes to get it right too. So while it'll be done in 4 hours or so, if it takes 5 because of a hang up or something we really want to get right, then it takes 5. So I love that flexibility, and we're committed to the result, not just getting it done quick. So when I'm looking at this here, I think that canine's just tipped in just a little, and yep, it is. So if I look at how full these canines are, I think that one's a little more full. There we go. It looks like it's got a really strong curve to it there. Let's see if I can address that. Good. All right, so let's get number 4 going, and I'll go over there and show you guys number 4. You ready? Okay. We had some audio issues last time, so hopefully everything's working really well with, I think it was just hard to hear, some people said, so hopefully it's easier for everybody to hear me with this lapel mic. Okay, ready to go forward. So I'm going to hit this start on number 4, and it'll be sending all that information to our, come on with me. We'll go walk a tour through the office. So we'll go up here to our front of our office, and it's quiet here at Innovative Dental at 4:20 on a Friday. But so here's one of our milling machines, and you can see the material's already been loaded. Oh, it hasn't been loaded. Sweet. I get to show you. So now which one am I on? There? Cool, all right. So there is the material. I don't know if I'm focused on that, but this is a Emax block. You'll notice that it is purple. Purple is because it's not been crystallized yet. So the crystallization process is going to be done in an oven for 15 minutes, and it'll take it and turn it into a very shade choose it to go to, and very hard, right? So right now it's pretty soft, and that way it can actually be cut. So if it was too hard, no way the milling could actually occur. So this block just gets loaded. I don't know if you can see this here, Michael, might be better to stay on this side. But it's loaded into this machine. We just tighten it down. And now we can hit start here, and you'll notice the machine will do some calibration. You can see right here is the actual veneer we're milling, which is tooth number 4. And then can't see a whole lot yet. When it starts spraying water, you'll be able to kind of start seeing this. So Michael, I'll let you kind of hang here and maybe capture that. I'll go get back to designing. But that way the viewers can maybe see that milling just a little bit. Cool. Anything else I need to add? Good. Sweet. So while that one's milling, I'll go ahead and continue working here on the CEREC machine and getting the rest of these designed and milling. Never started?
It gave me a milling unit air with a burr, but I changed my burr, so it's got to be something else.
Here, let me check real quick. So it started, but didn't quite get going on the front one here. Is that pointed? All the way down. Thanks. So I'll just restart it and see what happened there to that front one, why it didn't start milling. I'm not certain on that. The other ones are already done, the ones we started just a minute ago. So we're almost got the back, the 4 premolars going. And then I'll just kind of finish up those front teeth while they're milling. We doing okay up there, Rich? Saying not the correct instrument on the front? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go into this here, and we'll go ahead and make certain that we have the correct instruments loaded. So this software allows us to change out our burrs, that way they're fresh. And did you already close it? Okay. I'm going to change instruments and just re-verify that we've got the right ones in place. So it says it's busy. Is there something that you got going on up there?
Hopefully what it says up here so we can see, but it should be left.
Just exit out here. So it needs to be the 12S step burr. So it's, well, it was called a 12S, so let's see here. So you have the 12S step.
Yeah, that's what I pulled this.
Right, so it's just called, you have it called a 12, so it needs to be called a 12S. So it's seen the wrong one. So easy fix. So the computer there's a couple different options for burrs. One's a 12 or a 12S on the size, and so we just had the wrong size selected in the software. So if you will close out of that, I should be able to, if you'll just exit, I should be able to get back to changing that back to the right one. So we'll change instruments, and I'll just tell them that, hey, by the way, this one actually is a 12S. And it'll fix it, and we'll get milling again. 12S. Did you reinsert it yet? So it's already been reinserted? Well, no, just the one you had? Yeah, okay. So now, without further ado, let's mill number 4. I like to change just that little spot right there. I kind of like to fill that in. All right, there we go. All right, so now we're milling number 4. Number 5, we'll go ahead and finish, kind of fine tune the fit. Looking pretty good. Kind of nice how it fits with the arch there. Good. So what I'm doing is just taking away and adding porcelain. So that's kind of a nice, easy way to make adjustments to a smile, right? Just with software to click around and do that. Make sure our canines are the exact same length here. Good. They are. So now you can hear that milling, so we should be able to see that now that we are milling veneer number 4 on that lobby milling machine. Now ready for milling 5. So I don't know what the time set on that one milling, but we're ready and loaded in the other ones, right?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the perks about us having multiple milling machines is we're able to get it done quicker and not have to wait for
Yeah.
the machine to get done.
Yeah, helps out big time. So we'll be able to get done probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes. We'll have all of our veneers made, and then we'll get to put them in an oven for about 15 minutes and then bond them in. So that's kind of the next few steps we have. For those that are actually still here, I know it's been a longer video, but we'll make it compiled and compressed so it's a little easier to maybe watch in a short amount of time. But like I said, this is kind of just raw, uncut, and authentic, what goes on behind the scenes to make a veneer, so or make a smile. So I thought that would be useful for somebody who's really interested, and especially like that gentleman earlier, whoever asked the question about travel. I mean, I would be a big thing I'd want to know is how really is this done in one visit, and do I feel comfortable and confident that I'm going to get a nice smile, and how predictable is that process. So this is hopefully going to answer that question, give you some good feeling about how we can handle and give you an awesome smile. So now we're just fine-tuning contacts, which is pretty simple, pretty quick on these front teeth. Just kind of go through and polish this down to where they get that nice green that we were talking about earlier, because these milling machines mill to that green is what gives us a nice contact. So you can see we can quickly change the size of the instruments in the software, so that way we can kind of fine tune without having to use the same old static sized instrument or different, we have lots of different tools to get through designing this. A typical design probably takes 30 to 45 minutes to do. With a wax up, it can be done probably in, maybe half that time. But there's some nice advantages I feel like there is to doing it from scratch like this in the software. One of the main ones is the quality of the contacts and being able to really work off of the patient's face. We can really verify and use that before copy to have control over the design work and make sure that it matches up really well to their face. So that's important. A little harder with the copy. You got to really transfer it to the patient's mouth to get 100% of that. Good there? So you can see I thin it until I get to that where it's coming through, and then we got to thicken it up just a little bit. That way it's not going to chip or break in our mill. Kind of looks like a weather pattern, right? Storm's coming in. Finally got it, huh? Your turn. Were you able to see clearly once the water started going? I don't know if it made it a little easier to get the mill.
I moved to the back.
Oh, okay. You did? There you go. So we're just finishing the design on these front few teeth that are left. Pretty exciting stuff, right, Michael? Do we have anybody still watching, or are they all going to come back and watch the end? This is probably the lull here. Got to get these all milled.
20 people still watching.
Hey, you know, we've got 23 team members, so that's like most of our team members.
Two of us are here.
Did anybody respond to like the furthest away comment? Like, who's the furthest away? Curious. All right, do you have back rights loaded?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 4 milling machines. One of them is actually, the nice thing about having so many is actually we can do it quickly, but then when you have one go down, like we have one that's not, that's being serviced right now. So you still have 3, so we can still get through treatment fairly quickly. We're talking about being down a milling machine, so.
We had another online question.
Yeah.
And you may have mentioned this before, but the person may not have been online. What is, how far has the patient traveled the most? I think it was New York, right?
In the U.S., yeah, Puerto Rico is pretty
Oh, that is
far. Yeah. We've got some good smile entries, though, that are from quite a ways away, so there's potential that somebody will be from out of the U.S. Again. So we had some, I think, from, Michael might be able to help me, but we had some countries that I've maybe heard of a few times. I wouldn't.
They were also wondering if you can come from out of the country.
Absolutely. It's just travel dentistry for sure. Our hardest ones here to design are the laterals because of how small they were and kind of different shapes. So I'm spending a little extra time to try to get those really nice. But we're milling 3 right now, so it's kind of nice because I can design and tweak as much as possible, knowing that we're still milling and not wasting any of the time while the patient's numb, and still can get done fairly efficiently with that.
Another one ready to go. Back left is ready.
Okay.
There's a few watchers, viewers from Fayetteville.
Okay.
Or as I like to call them, from Fayette Chill.
Fayette Chill.
Their shirts.
There you go. So we are going to mill, so we're milling canines. We're just kind of coming in, okay? So we got canines now. And you've got that one loaded in.
Yeah.
There we go. It's a good thing I went to the bathroom before this started,
Yeah.
because it'd be good. That'd be a little painful if I just drink too much soda. Shouldn't drink soda anyway. But it's so good. Fizzy once it hits your tongue.
Around our area, though, it's that sweet tea.
Sweet tea. McAllister sweet tea. McDonald's sweet tea is kind of like, they keep dentists in business. The McDonald's sweet tea does.
Do you need another one right there?
Lobby.
Lobby, okay. Allie, your laterals are the toughest, hon. For sure. It's those little small teeth rotated just a little bit. You all right? That was water.
It's water. But I can feel some air.
Feeling air?
Yeah.
I think that does it. Let me see what that looks like here. So what I did there is kind of fine tune all the contacts on these teeth, so that way when they go in, they'll snap floss and keep food out of in between her teeth and keep it clean and healthy. And then I'm going to make sure that I didn't change any of the aesthetics of the smile as I did that. And I think we stayed pretty safely away from doing that, but I want to make certain I didn't. Cool. So now we should be able to mill the remaining ones. So we've got 4 left.
I was in the massage chair watching you.
Were you? That's funny.
That was my first time in the massage chair.
Was it? Man,
You've worked here
what a slave driver you work for. You can't get any more.
almost 3 years? It's almost 3.
That's a shame.
I've used it twice. It's nice.
Just don't do it for a movie. That's a bad idea.
A little sore after that?
Yep. Came up here and watched a movie one time, sat in the massage chair, and totally wrecked my back. That felt really great. Made it really sore because it just overworked it.
Yeah, that thing is intense.
Yeah, you don't need that long on it. So I'm just kind of fine tuning that contour, making sure that it doesn't sink in on her smile there. like maybe this lateral could come out just a hair. Those centrals look great. I'm happy with that. So. We have another comment there on Facebook, it looked like. I don't know. It might be too unrelated.
Push just the thumbs up.
Oh, thumbs up. Oh, you're not on that. Where do you got camera going? Doesn't matter. Thumbs up. Where were you recording from? Oh, you were taking full screen here? Okay. I thought you were doing picture in picture.
And back milling machine.
Oh, okay. I'll just let the producer do his thing, you know, and stay out of it.
You don't have to be on camera all the time.
You're right about that. That gets pretty old very quickly. So 11 is almost done. We're doing milling 7 now. And then we have 8, 9, 10, and we're done. So three more and 3 more mills. So I don't know if which one you want. I don't know if I can talk on that one. But so if you look here on these, it's really going to be hard to see it, but maybe Mike can get a close up later. But when these get cut off the block, there's a little sprue that's left. And what we do is, since we're gonna customize these anyways, I go and polish that back and polish it away. And then we are able to add a little bit of this kind of anatomy to the front, or the facial, or the cheek side, the smile side of the veneer. And that way it'll look really natural, reflect light back like it should. You'll really be able to appreciate that when we compose the before and after smile, and you'll see that anatomy that we put in the tooth there. All right, got another one ready?
Yep, right.
Okay. You getting excited yet? Probably 40 minutes away from bonding these in. 30, 40 minutes, something like that. All right, take that over here. So obviously with all the yapping, we're adding a little bit of time and being down a milling machine, but we should still be on course for 3.5 to 4 hours. All right. Can you see here, maybe? Try to position where you can see what I'm doing. So with this light and handpiece, I'm able to polish this piece off of the
There's 5. We have 5 more. Or sorry, you got 5 more to polish, but just a few more to mill. Dexter skedaddled really quick, didn't he?
He's sleeping.
So much for giving much therapy. Battery life on these is really good, Michael.
We had already talked about Emacs a little bit. There is a gentleman on YouTube that asks if you use Emacs for all your interior veneers. He likes to use Empress Multi, so he just wants to know your
Yeah,
opinions.
Empress Multi is beautiful. It's just more more prone to chipping. I've actually had a few of those. I've placed them, but it's been a long time. But I've had a few chip, and just I don't get that with Emacs. And so, aesthetic-wise, you have to control the prep a little bit more with Emacs to maybe get that gradation of color change, which I think is what's built into the Empress Multi. But you can still get it with Emacs, just kind of have to have the prep. That's why earlier when I was overlaying the before and after and kind of really trying to visualize how much reduction I had, that I had more incisal reduction than gingival, and gingival being pretty minimal. That way, once I bond these on and kind of polish a little bit, that gets really thin, the porcelain down there, so it'll let the underlying tooth structure through and look very natural. So that's the goal with Emacs. And then I don't have to have that concern that I'm going to have a patient that loves their smile but then has a chipping veneer that needs to be remade down the road. One more to mill after this next one gets done. What are the questions? I know I put my cell phone down somewhere and had some good questions. We may have answered them all.
Does insurance ever pay for veneers?
So insurance is, they're not interested really. I mean, they're a profit game, right? So, I mean, it's a whole discussion on insurance, and their goal isn't really necessarily for you to have a nice smile. So they will typically deny veneer coverage. That's not every insurance provider, but most don't cover veneers. We treat based off of the benefit to the patient and the health, and really try to, obviously we work with dental benefits plans and insurance companies. That's another thing too. They're not really insurance, but that's a whole other topic. The the way that we want to treat people is based off of the best health for them. And so even if they're not covered, I hate the idea of crowning. I think there was a question, well, we crown teeth, or somebody said in one of our YouTube threads, we crown teeth because typically if we can justify it, insurance will pay for it. And I don't know, I just think that's a little bit of a rough way to do dentistry and practice, where you're treating based off of a third party that is dictating payment rather than the health and the benefit of the patient. So I kind of feel pretty convinced that I should treat people on what's best for their oral health, and if a veneer is going to be more conservative and give them the best long-term health, then that's what we should be calling it and doing it. And anyways, that's, I mean, good question though. Yeah, if you do veneer, typically because of cosmetic, they think it's only cosmetic, they won't cover. Sometimes you can use a code called a partial crown, and that can sometimes be justified and used to get some sort of coverage from benefits plans.
Someone asked, what is Dexter's role here?
Dexter's role, man, he just keeps people happy here, you know. He's comes with me. He's my dog. Comes with me every day, and he hangs out in the back. He does come out and greets patients periodically. We don't let him just roam the office. But he does greet, especially kids. They like to see him and pet him, and you know, somebody's extremely nervous, we bring him out and let them kind of interact with him, and that kind of changes the environment for them. You know, we're not. I heard somebody. There was a comment about how unsanitary that is, and I don't think you understand. Some people, some public. Some patients are definitely, you know, our dog gets cleaned regularly. We get our office cleaned all the time. So Dexter is not an issue with sanitization. We sanitize everything and run everything through a sterilizer that should be. So there's really, I don't think too many people are concerned, but I've had a few post that like, oh, yuck, a dog in a dental practice. But I think dogs are awesome, and I think he's been welcomed by many of our patients, and I don't know, dogs make people happy, don't they?
Yeah, they must be cat people.
Must be cat people, right? Don't want to open that can of worms. So what I'm doing right now is just kind of going through and adding some detail to the veneers, like I was saying earlier. You probably won't be able to see that in any of our imaging because it's pretty zoomed in, but you'll be able to see it in her smile. Basically, if you can kind of picture this, you ever seen anybody with veneers or dental work and you look at it and you're like, whoa, that is definitely dental work? It's usually because the shape of those veneers and the contour is very flat. Flat, without any anatomy in it, is going to reflect light back, kind of like a window or a balloon, and that looks pretty unnatural. And so you want to have light get kind of broken up once it hits the veneer, and that's the purpose of adding this anatomy to it, just to give it just a little bit of subtle wave to it that natural teeth typically have, to help make it look less like a fake tooth. I will give you a little anesthetic here in a minute, Allie. That way I can try these in and make any adjustments.
I just wanted to burn through all of it today, I guess.
Yeah. The last 3 milling. Yeah, why don't we get you a little more in a sec now?
Yeah.
So we're getting the last 3 are milling, so we should be able to try them in here in about 5 minutes or so and verify that we like the overall contour and shape of them and the fit. And before we do that, I'm going to make sure Allie doesn't feel a darn thing, because so far we've been doing pretty good on that, and we don't want that to change.
Still want to come to work on Monday?
Yeah, you'd probably forgive me because you need a job, right? But you'd probably, yeah, it might slash my tires. Wish there was a way to get that out of your way, but there's not. Feel that at all? A little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This side's still cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, fiber's fine. That's fine, good.
All right. Last 3 are finishing up. Give it another minute or 2 for that to set in there. Is that helping?
Mm-hmm. Just on number 9 a little bit, but
Okay, I'll give that a minute then. This side's feeling nice and numb.
Mhm.
Just a little bit there.
just on 9 right now.
Okay. It's about dinner time.
It is.
Uh-oh, we're gonna, what is it, 6 o'clock? We start competing with like Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
I think we lose big time on that one.
6:30.
Oh, sorry, 6:30.
I
I
like
should
how
know
you
that.
know what time that is.
I was actually wrong.
My mom and I watched
So I didn't know what time it was. I thought I knew, but I did not. Is that getting better? Or do we need a little bit of right there in that spot?
It's better.
Okay. Since I'm just trying them in, let's see if we can do it without any more. Because I won't even dry them off. Doing okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
So what we're doing here is just individually trying these in, making sure that if there needs to be any sort of adjustment to getting them to fit perfectly, we can do that. Thank you. Okay. Great. I'm going to trip myself on this chair before the end of the day. I'm going to snag the few that have completed there. Looks like 8 and 9 have. Doing all right?
Mhm.
Okay. I'll try them all in, at least a few that I've got here. Make certain that you're okay, but don't swallow anything. Those 3 are good. Everything's fitting really nice. I have one little contact I'm just wanting to adjust a little bit. And the other 3 are done, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So here in just a second we'll be going to put these in the oven to bake. You do dentistry, you get to bake stuff, huh? It takes roughly about 20 minutes on the cycle we're going to use today to turn these into their strongest, prettiest material. There we go. It's a good look for you there, Allie.
Hey. New trend.
All right. So what's everybody doing for Father's Day?
That's a great question. My dad will probably want to take us golfing.
Yeah, he's a pretty big golfer, isn't he?
Yeah. Are you guys gonna do anything?
Probably go to the pool if it's nice.
Probably gonna be some barbecue involved too.
I don't know. I haven't really figured that out yet. Lots of eating, I know that. Still doing okay, Allie?
Yep. Doing great.
Awesome. Just trying that other lateral. very close. Just a few more adjustments to that one. Good catch. Very cool. I don't know if I'll be able to get them all in there, but we'll try. Sometimes it's really hard with veneers that I don't have any bonding agent in there, but yeah, it's going to be a nose job, but especially with my giant sausage fingers. Got him?
Yep.
All right.
When you fall in the vestibule, it's a little more
Here.
difficult to get out there.
I got it. Okay, and there was that lateral that had one more spot, and those are ready. Here we go. Nice thing is we got all these adjustments out of the way. We won't have to do those once they bake. So it should be bake and then just
Bacon
polish.
bond.
Yeah, bake and bond. Polish them up a little bit. Okay, you're good to go off of that for a little bit. We'll transition back to our lab where we've got an oven, a couple ovens, but we'll probably use both of them just to make certain that we don't overload one with too much to try to cure or transition into the crystallized version. Let's give a round of applause for Michael, our camera operator. He's doing great. And not just camera operator, he's like camera operator, graphics design, all the details, along with camera setup, directing. I'm sure there's something else I'm missing, but yeah.
Question directing.
Oh, question. Yes, for sure. So we're gonna put these on these little plates. I'll show you here in just a second, and they will hold these veneers while they get crystallized, and there'll be a little glaze that we place on them. Not too much because we still want them to have that kind of natural look, not that
just glazed over to polished up type stuff. So since we have 10, I'll just do 5 and 5 here. So I don't know, am I looking all right there? Cutting off my head. You don't need to see my head in here. Whatever works best. So here we're gonna put 6, and you can get fancy with this, but honestly, 6 dollops of this. Sorry, 5. I'll just do 5 and 5. And then, I don't know if you can see here, Michael, I don't know if you can stretch that far, but we'll just put the veneers on. Put them all in the same direction. That way, when I spray them, we don't get any on the underside.
Yes, he does. To clean up around your gums before he turns on the gums. What I do here, I put this.
And we do the same thing with the other one. If we get these bacon, do you think it's a good time maybe to do the tour, just tour office?
Yeah, except for audio cuts out.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I don't have to go to that side. I forgot about that. Maybe I'll just do a better one of those next time, next week. And then we use this spray here. And I just lightly, these are the front teeth, so I'm put those all in the same one so I can lightly coat those. Light frosting. And then these are the posterior teeth, so the ones that go in the back, they can take a little bit more. They're more about the feel, or about the look as much there. So, okay, we're set. So we can go ahead and load these. And then up here you'll notice we've got oven 2, Emax, we'll go glaze, start. That'll start there, that lets us know that we're starting to bake. And then now we can go back to oven 1 and choose Emax. Start. So there you have it. So those will bake, and you can see here on the time, it's about 18 minutes, so roughly 20 minutes to complete the full process of crystallization, baking, glazing, all done at once, really. So nothing super eventful. So we got 20 minutes to kill. Exciting. We are finally ready. So we are about 3.5, almost 4 hours, well, 3.5 to 3 hours and 40 minutes since we started. Ready to put your veneers on.
Your headrest. I like
Taking probably 20 or 30 minutes longer than probably our average time, but they look really good. We won't have to make many adjustments here because we've already kind of done that. I will have you tilt your chin up really high like you have it. So here, I'll try these in one last time before we make them permanent. And she's still pretty numb, doing pretty good here. Doing all right, hon?
Mm-hmm.
So you should be able to, yeah, hold the tray up a little higher. Oh yeah, because you're trying to see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you see, Michael, or should we have her tilt her chin down? Okay, good. So all it's going to hold these on here while we try them in is just gravity, so. Main thing here is we're just trying to make certain that when we go to bond these permanently with this resin, it starts to set up in a few minutes. So we don't want to be shocked that something doesn't connect correctly and fit perfectly. So this is just a final verification. Also lets me kind of visualize how they should look when they're all done, so I nail that when we go to bond it. Okay. Good enough for government work, you know? Mm-hmm. Anna, that one was for you. That's my old line. I've had it for a while, you know? Just right at the end, you say good enough for government work. I'm going to get a lot of haters that'll be like, dude, government work is great. Okay. Sure. All right, so these have all been carefully prepared so that way their surface will adhere to our resin. Rachel will go ahead and start doing what's called monobond and basically just preparing those veneers to accept the resin correctly. I will go ahead and start doing a selective etch. Can you still hear me, Michael? Yeah. Okay. You're fine, I just want to make... So, target is 15 seconds on the enamel. I don't know if you can see anything. Can you see, Michael? So I'm going to do half of the mouth here. That way I don't over-etch. Over-etching just causes sensitivity. So I had a question earlier. Sensitivity, there's a few areas in the process where if you're not careful, you can maybe add sensitivity to the mix. You are rocking the custom Innovative Dental shades. Oh, by the way, Innovative Dental of Springfield is in Springfield, Missouri. I think we had somebody ask that question. We are smack dab in the middle of the country, southwest corner of Missouri. And I think the lady from New York flew for about 3 hours to 4 hours to get here, so not too terrible. Maybe typically one connection from anywhere to find yourself in Springfield.
that's bitter. That etch is pretty bitter. Got a little on your tongue there. Not delicious. Then in our office, we use an extra little agent called Gluma. It's basically designed to help with sensitivity. So we use that as an added little resistance for our patients to avoid having sensitive teeth. We really do that for everything: fillings, crowns, veneers. So one thing's pretty important: we don't need to desiccate, or basically that's a fancy term for over dry out the teeth. That'll cause sensitivity as well, so we don't want to do that. And then now we're ready to go ahead and use a bond agent. And this is the step that kind of is tedious. It's just, scrubbing it into the tooth for 15 seconds, so that's what I'm doing now. It's just a long time to be scrubbing on a tooth, so but it actually will penetrate the tooth and the enamel, the etched enamel that we just etched, and it will connect with that resin, and the resin will connect with that veneer that we just silinated and prepared for the resin. So 15 seconds a tooth times 10 teeth. That's why that took about 2 minutes. But important step. Second here. So we have just a little bit of hemorrhage. You want to grab the Expisilva? I'll brush that away here in just a second. Thanks. Give a little bit of the micro prime on there, the Gluma. I'll just rebond that little spot that had a little blood on it. So if you don't like small details, don't be a dentist. It's a pretty... Okay. So Rachel here will use a special light
The good thing is you guys can look at it. I can't. But that light is blue, and it basically cures the resin. It's got a special wavelength that's dangerous for human eyes, so it's got that orange shield. But the wavelength that it vibrates are basically sends the light at it is going to activate that bonding agent and bond it to the tooth. And then we use this resin right here. We were using a translucent, or basically a neutral resin. It's called Veneer Aesthetic. It has a dual cure, so it's going to give me two options. It's going to cure on its own. It's also going to cure with the light. So I have about a working time of 1.5 to 2 minutes, so you'll see us work quickly. It's not because we're rushing or worried or anything like that. It's just we're working against the clock, so we don't want to just take too much time. And it's talking like my mom would say, or my mom or my dad. Probably my mom would use this word, dilly-dally. Anybody heard that?
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to dilly-dally. So, especially when we got 10 going in here. So this would be a bad time to like drop that tray. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, sorry.
You can see that my light has an orange filter, and that's to prevent my vision or my light from setting up this resin as we're placing these veneers. Really happy with the fit of all these. They'll fit really nicely. And then just to make sure that we verify fit as resin is curing, I like to brush the resin away. I don't want to just tack cure, because then I'm trusting that everything didn't or stayed perfectly in the right spot. And we worked pretty hard to get to this spot, so I don't want to mess anything up. Sorry, drop it there. You'll notice I don't spend a ton of time on the back side of the teeth yet. It's because that's really easy for me to polish all that away, so I don't get too hung up on cleaning that portion. It's the front side here, right at the gum line. I want to make sure I get that as clean as possible. And then I'm approaching that time where I'm going to need to start flossing. And I'll need a 2x2 with a little bit of alcohol in there for me. So this is where we go crazy with the flossing, which, you know, as a hygienist, Allie, I'm sure, is really crazy about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She's going to teach me how to floss one of these days. Now that we got through it once, I'll go through it again, because we are all pretty much getting pretty well set up here. This is probably therapeutic for a hygienist. I really think it would be to watch. Probably not maybe to have done to you. Sorry. Knocked your glasses off.
Thank you. And you give me that gold instrument. I'll go around and make certain that we're all cleared. Rinse here. All right. If once is good, twice is better, right? There's still some resin that kind of sneaks out. Really want to keep these clean, or get the resin all out. We do at the end of every cosmetic treatment we do a complimentary cleaning. That way we make certain that we get all of this clear resin out of there. But typically we can get 95% of it. It's just a little bit that sometimes sticks around that we want to make certain we didn't leave. It can irritate the gums if it's left. So, plus we like to see you back so we can get photos. So I don't think that'll be too tough with Allie, since we'll see you at the office on Monday. So we'll take a photo and be able to use that for that compilation video, so you guys can see more detail close up at before and after. But we are pretty good here now. Yep. All right, and go ahead and cure there for me. And then after she's done curing, all I got to do is just polish a little bit of that resin that I left on the tongue side of these teeth on purpose, so we didn't wash out any of those margins. We want everything to be perfectly sealed.
Since this takes a while, you got any more dental jokes?
Dental jokes. They're all, you got to be spontaneous, you know, in those. I don't have any just right off my. You have one?
No, but I really like the instead of the 2 chains.
Oh yeah. Well,
it's not really a joke, just more of a.
Well, oh yeah, you're talking about like what would my gangster name be? Be like 2 brackets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is brackets are used in braces, so yeah, 2 brackets. Or Molar Man is another. Yeah, I think there's a guy named Method Man. I'm pretty hip, pretty aware of the Method Man, so Molar Man. Thanks for bringing that up, so I could share that. Yeah. I'm trying to think what other. The other thing is I'm a tooth ninja. This person asked about being black gloves and mask.
Black gloves.
So I can kind of be a tooth ninja, like fight cavities, karate chop, tooth decay. It's pretty lame, but I have lots of dad jokes. I am a dad of 3, so that kind of makes sense to have dad jokes. But I think I've kind of had a few that are grandpa jokes. You know, the ones that you hear every time and you're just like, grandpa, you're funny. Those are good. Like, what's up? The sky? That's like the grandpa's line. Yeah.
Hearing that from your dad?
I think I've heard that from a lot of people, but I don't know if my dad does that one. Well, if you stuck around till then, that's pretty impressive. You might want to find something better to do with your life. No, I'm teasing. So, thanks for watching. It's been fun to transform the smile in a single visit.
and do it where there's kind of no cut, except for the little pause we had while we had an oven bake for 15-20 minutes. So the office here is phenomenal. We've got a great team. We're really committed to giving amazing smiles and care. So if you're local, we'd love to see you as a regular patient. We do obviously general dentistry, but if you're looking for a smile makeover or cosmetic treatment with implants, veneers, all that type of stuff, we're able to do most of those in 1 or 2 visits. And so we'd love the opportunity to chat with you about that. We've got the ability to do virtual consultations, which is phenomenal. You get to sit down, we'll look at your records, and it's almost like you're in the office. Obviously, you're not, but that way we can get a chance to meet, discuss your condition, your goals, and your priorities for your smile, and then discuss what your options are, and maybe have the opportunity to take care of you here in Springfield, Missouri. So that would be awesome. I'd love the opportunity to talk to you guys about that. You can go to our website. It's idspringfield.com, 417-889-4746. I say that really fast. It's 417-889-GRIN. That's pretty clever, right? 889-GRIN. Okay. It's 417-889-GRIN. And then we have those who, I think we even had a few people submit entries while this has been running for the Summer Smile giveaway. So I've been told not to say WW. It's like the old school way of doing it. So it's just summersmilegiveaway.com. So pretty easy. And if you're wondering, is there going to be any other giveaways? Maybe a winter smile giveaway. You never know. It's so much fun. It's so much fun doing smiles, and sometimes it's fun to give them away to some deserving person. So I think we were talking earlier, we got some entries from Norway. So if you're watching this or watching maybe like the compilation video, don't hesitate to submit something just because you're from a different part of the world. The flight, it's all on us. We're covering it. We're paying for it, so don't have to worry about that. You're just going to have to obviously take a little more time off work for that type of travel, but we got the cost covered for you on the trip. Sweet. So we're finishing. It does take a little bit of time to use the light to cure and make certain all these are fully cured. We don't want to have one come off because we didn't do our job curing it. So, any other last questions? You'll get to get a kind of a close-up zoom of her smile here maybe, and then I don't think they need to see me adjusting or polishing that resin, but maybe you can get a shot of her smile. For those that are like, what's the payoff? Like they're really wanting to see the end. This might help them. So Allie, I'm just going to sit you up so you can get a good shot of that, okay? And I know you're numb, so we won't even really mess with taking that out, but you might be able to do he might be able to do a screen and can you put up her before as a shot and then put this over it or next to it? I didn't really think about that, but you haven't even got to see it yet. Man, this is mean. The whole world gets to see your smile before you do. Oh wow, that's cool.
That is cool.
Nice job, Michael. I knew he could do it. Good. There you go. Cool. Sweet. That's a wrap, man. Way to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already.